Hey, South Bay. I'm Jeff Pollard at solarpowerthepeople.org and Jeff Pollard 11 on Instagram. We have another great episode with another great guest. Now, sir.
Where is he?
Who are you? Where are we?
Well,
what are you about?
I'm Bill Dudley. I was on the radio here for over 20 years on two of the major LA radio stations. And I had a record store in the 80s in Portland, which lasted from 80 to 99, and then the downloading started and the business kind of fell off, and I sold it to somebody, and the guy ran it out of business in about 7 months. So in 2017, I noticed vinyl was coming back. I found out going to the to spring training, and I went into a little record store, and there was a young guy working there, and I noticed he had a lot of vinyl, and the vinyl was expensive and the CDs were cheap. And I said, why are the CDs so cheap and the vinyl so expensive? He said, it's back. And I said, really? I said, who's it back with? He said, people my age. And I thought, oh, good demographic, 24 years old. So maybe I should reopen the store. So I did on Friday the 13th of October 2017. And we've had two locations here, one with great neighbors and a bad landlord. Now we've got the opposite. But it's close to the house. So anyway, we're rolling along. We're in our 7th year, and the store is hot as a pistol right now. It started around September 1st of last year. We made some changes here at the store, and we started giving a lot of stuff away online on our Instagram and Facebook. And I was going to say the kids are really into it, and they are, but kids up to 40 and 50 are into this too, because they get asked a question usually by a customer, and then they have to come up with the answer. And the answers are always answers that only I know, or the person asking the question. And it goes on for 3 or 4 days sometimes. Sometimes they win $100 shopping, sometimes it's 50. Okay. But it's really hot right now.
Okay, so it's been working out that way.
Well, we hit 20,000 people on Facebook off and on here since the 1st of September. So that's I'm really happy about that.
Shoot them the name of the store again where they
It's Dudley's Records or Dudley's Vintage Vinyl, 3914 Sepulveda. We're right next to the Arco station that everybody loves so much since it's the cheapest station in the South Bay. And we're rolling along. Most of our customers are, we have them from 14 to 76, and heavily older teenagers and young adults are most of our business. And they buy classic rock and vintage jazz, the same stuff I was selling in the 80s.
Okay. Now, to kind of put in those fun questions now, it's hard because if you're anything like me, you know, I can't put a favorite, but what are some top tier bands or music you like? You could go into genre, you could go into band.
Well, you got to remember, I was in radio for 35 years, and everything I played from 1970 to 1980, I'm still sick of. So that includes great things like Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. Love the record. I broke the record. I got a gold record for it. I can't stand hearing it anymore.
Oh,
it's
God.
It's a great record. I just, you know, there's just some of that stuff. I had to play it every 2 hours on Top 40 radio, and I just got tired of it, you know.
So it's perfectly normal to play something to death where you actually can't listen to it. I thought I was the only one.
Well, and look how long ago that was, and I'm just now starting to tolerate the early 70s. But the late 70s, when I was the music director and the program director, it's my fault. We played them over and over and over again. And I'm more tired of that stuff. I mean, I can listen to... can finally listen to the Carpenters again, but I don't want to hear Baker Street, you know.
Okay.
I just saw Steely Dan last night. They were great, and I helped break their first record in 1972, Do It Again, which a friend of mine, Bill Ford, was playing on another station, and he says, hey, listen to this. I said, oh, is that the new Santana? And he said, no, it's a group called Steely Dan, and he says, they're really crazy. You'll like them. And, of course, I finally got to see them 52 years later last night.
All right.
And Fagan was great, man. He didn't do some things because he should have been on longer, but didn't do Showbiz Kids, and I would have done that in L.A. because it really tells it like it is about showbiz in L.A. I've been in it for 25 years, so.
But he was on it.
Yeah, no, he was great though. He just got out of the hospital, and I'm really glad we saw him. And the Eagles were the best. I've been seeing them since 1974. This was the best I've ever seen. It was last night. They have Glenn Frey's son sings some of the Glenn songs. Vince Gill sings some of them. They had J.D. Souther out there to sing the 3 that he wrote. And it was just one of the best shows I've ever seen.
That's great. Oh man, no, I love
So-
hearing when those bands can do it. So.
Well, the younger people that come in here, especially the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they want to hear my stories. I'm tired. I'm tired of telling them.
No,
but
don't.
they want to hear the Grace Slick story. There's so many stories that I just are in my head that I can't think of, except when somebody asks me. And the Grace Slick story is probably the best one. This was New Year's of '69 and '70. It was one of my first times at the Fillmore.
Okay.
And it's actually at Winterland because the Fillmore was being remodeled then. But it was a Fillmore show with Bill Graham and. I'd been there to see other people like Creedence and Cold Blood and Jethro Tull on their first American appearance was at the Fillmore in '69. But anyway, it's New Year's Eve. It's Jefferson Airplane, the Grateful Dead, which I was never really that much into. I like some of their stuff, but wasn't into a lot of that culture. But I loved the Airplane. Sly Stone was great. He was an ex-DJ that became a superstar in R&B and funk. And the opening act was my favorite of the group, Spirit, which was a jazz mix rock blend of music. And some of the principal guys in the band are gone now, but Jay Ferguson, who later went on to Hard and Firefall, he was in the group. He was the bass player.
Okay.
And his dad was an actor here in the 50s. But they were great. They opened. In '69, '70, Sly was at the top of his game. He was great. The Dead came on, I went to the bathroom. Okay, I had 3 buddies there with me. I went to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom, and they had bleachers there like we have at the Rose Parade. And I just sat down on a bleacher by myself, and this older woman came up and started talking to me, older, like 30 at the time. And we started talking. We're talking about politics and not really much about music at all. And I was talking to her for a long time, and then out comes Jack Cassidy, the bass player for Jefferson Airplane, and he says, "Grace, we're on." And she said, "Oh, by the way, my name is Grace." And I said, "And by the way, my name is Stupid because I grew up in the Bay Area. I'm talking to Grace Slick for half an hour." She says, "It's 2:30 in the morning, honey, on New Year's. Don't worry about it." And she walked away. And I got to tell her daughter, China, that story a couple years ago. And China, I said, "China, my friends never believed I talked to your mother all the time." She said, "Oh, I believe you." She says, she'll talk, especially if you're not talking about music. And I said, "Oh, well, we didn't." And she says, "But let me give you a caveat to the story the next time you tell it." And I said, "What is that?" She says, "She was pregnant with me that night."
Oh, whoa.
And she's been invited to the store.
So you talked to her too.
Well, yeah, over the years I've met and worked with a lot of people, and they don't come to mind until somebody buys it and they say, "Is this their best album?" And I say, "No, the best one came out when I met them and worked with them." And sometimes it's the other way.
Okay.
George Carlin was one. He was my hero all my life. I worked with him, didn't give me the time of day. Really, really pissed me off. But that's why it was funny, because he was not a nice man. That's what made him funny. He took in all the things in his environment and made him funny. So
He created it.
yeah, he was the best at his game at the time.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of people. B.B. King may have been. B.B. King and Lionel Richie were probably the nicest people I ever worked with.
Okay.
They're both really real sweethearts, especially Lionel, because when I met Lionel, I was on crutches because some drunk threw me into a Mercedes during a baseball game in Chicago, and it was a bunch of teenage girls that started the incident, and I yelled at him, and some guy I wanted to be a hero shoved me into a car and broke my hip and everything. And I'm telling Lionel the story because I'm trying to engineer him. He was a guest DJ on our station, right? And so as he walked out the door, I can still see him stand there. He looked back and he says, "Hey, Bill, don't abuse any more teenage girls." That was it. So, there's a lot of other stories.
I appreciate
those are
all
some
of
of the good ones. So
No, I appreciate it, and thank you for that. I do like to end it with a random question, which is, if you can make the world a better place or less stressful, what is your secret?
get rid of Trump.
Okay.
That's my answer. I mean, of all the things that disturb me, he's the biggest one. So, and I'm worried about the country. I remember I went through the Vietnam era, the civil rights era, and all the other, civil rights that came afterwards. I've never been as worried about the country as I am today. And I talk about it with a lot of customers. And, if they're Trump fans, that's fine. Don't bring it in here.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
Now,
So,
is there an album you would say that would relax you or something? Or, take you out?
I've been menacing up with Steely Dan all week just because I was getting, you know, geared up to see him, and I'm still playing him today because he didn't get to some of my favorite songs last night, as I said earlier. So right now I'm on Steely Dan. I'm going to put the Eagles on later today, and there's a lot of jazz things I play. In the mornings, I play Miles Davis a lot, Coltrane. I'm in the mood for jazz. Stan Getz, you know, I worked at a smooth jazz station for years, and the store that this was based on in 1980, which I opened with $7,000, by the way. And the B-52s were the biggest act in the world at that point, at my store, anyway. The store I based this on was a little record store in Oakland called Duo Records, and they just did a story on Ann, the lady that owned it, who is still alive, almost 104. I talk to her every day. I just talked to her right before you came in. She's on top of everything.
Ooh, sharp too. I love that.
She's like my mom, and you know, her and her husband had a little store in Oakland called Duo Records, and I shopped there when I was a little boy, and I've known her ever since then. So,
all right, shout out to that too.
Yeah, and Castle, turning 104 soon. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All his information will be where information can be found. Thank you so much, Bill.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Guess what? I wrote an illustrated children's book. I am super excited for this. It's a great book, so please support. Please buy. Please do whatever you feel like doing. The Giraffe and the Lion. Find it anywhere. Thanks, everybody.